Okay, so we all love a good underdog story, right?
Yeah.
You know those impossible comebacks, the clutch moments where everything is on the line?
Yeah, absolutely.
But today, we're going to kind of flip that script a little bit
Okay.
and dive into the world of D&D where those clutch moments go horribly statistically wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Love it.
it's really interesting to think about like how something as simple as a dice roll can just completely shift the narrative.
It really is, yeah. It's that, like, unique blend of math and storytelling and just, like, raw human emotion that I think makes D&D so captivating.
Totally. And today we're exploring some seriously legendary tales of like dice-related disaster.
Oh.
With this article from LitRPG Reads called The Cruel Hand of Fate, D&D's most notoriously unlucky dice rolls of the doomed.
Okay.
And we're going to be uncovering like the stories behind them, the mind-boggling odds, and how these moments have actually shaped the game we know and love today.
I mean, it's about more than just the roles themselves, right? Like, it's about how we as players react to these totally unexpected twists of fate and how they become, like, so ingrained in our memories and, honestly, gaming culture itself.
Absolutely. And so to kick things off, we're taking you on a journey to the Hall of D&D infamy.
All right, let's go.
Our first stop is a story so infamous it sparked a major debate, Thoren's triple tragedy. So picture this, a packed convention hall in Milwaukee back in 2012.
Okay.
And the energy is absolutely electric. Like everyone is like on the edge of their seats as this player named Dave, known as the Dice Whisperer,
Wow.
is facing down this ancient red dragon with his legendary dwarf paladin, Thoren Stonefist.
Oh, man. You can practically feel the tension in these moments. Like, the entire room is just captivated, completely invested in this battle against impossible odds.
Absolutely. And so Thoren is like one good hit away from victory. This dragon is down to his last few hit points. He swings his axe, rolls the dice,
Oh, God.
and it's a 1. The crowd groans. He's down to his last few death saves.
Come on.
He rolls again. Another one.
Oh, no.
You can feel the hope like draining from the room. And then on that final roll, a third one. Silence.
Oh, my God.
Thoren, this legendary hero, was gone. Just like that.
It's brutal. It's like a stark reminder that in D&D, even the most skilled players, you know, those who whisper to the dice, are still subject to the whims of fate as embodied by those 20-sided dice. And, you know, Thoren's story wasn't just heartbreaking for Dave and the audience. It sparked a huge debate in the community.
It did. People started questioning if there should be like mercy rules to prevent those kinds of like devastating rolls.
Right.
Some people felt it was just like totally unfair, while others were arguing that embracing the randomness, even when it's brutal, is part of what makes D&D so appealing.
Yeah, and that debate even led to the creation of death save dice, right? Like these special dice that some players just keep on hand just for those crucial death save rolls. It speaks to how deeply invested players are in these stories and how a single event can shape the way we approach the game.
Absolutely. Thoren's story is like a classic example of how one bad roll can just change everything.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not just one roll, it's like a whole series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Take, for instance, the tale of Lucky Lightfoot,
Okay.
a halfling rogue who encountered a particularly nasty trap in Curse of Strahd back in 2016. Now, Lucky Lightfoot is trying to disarm this trap, and she's got everything going for her. Triple advantage, the lucky feat, which lets you re-roll dice, and even inspiration, which gives you an extra bonus.
And just to clarify for those who might not be familiar with all the D&D lingo, advantage means you get to roll the dice twice, and you take the better result. So already the odds are, like, heavily in her favor.
Exactly. But even with all that, she managed to roll 5 ones in a row. We're talking an event so unlikely it practically defied the laws of probability.
It's insane. You know, it's a reminder that no matter how much we prepare, how much we strategize, sometimes the dice just have other plans.
Totally. And speaking of plans going awry, let's rewind to 2009 for the story of Sarah Storylord Williams and the Total Party Kill, or TPK, that was never supposed to happen.
Oh, no.
So it's the final session of a 4-year campaign.
Wow.
And the players are facing off against this mind flare, which is like notoriously tough opponent. Sarah, the dungeon master, had carefully designed this encounter to be like a dramatic but ultimately survivable end to their epic journey.
Yeah, it's like a good dungeon master or DM always tries to create a balanced and engaging experience, right? They're the narrators, they're the referees of the game, setting the scene and guiding the story.
Absolutely. But even the best-laid plans can go sideways when the dice get involved. And in this case, it wasn't just one player experiencing bad luck. It was the entire party.
It's almost like witnessing a statistical anomaly unfold right before your eyes.
Absolutely. 6 players, 6 consecutive rolls, 6 natural ones, all in a single round. It completely derailed her carefully planned ending.
And this incident actually led to what some players call the Williams rule, which is, if the entire party rolls ones, it's basically a sign from the universe that the DM just needs to adjust accordingly.
So what did she do? Did she just, call it a night?
No. She was a pro, she thought, on her feet, and masterfully wove that string of failures into the narrative, declared it a sign of divine intervention, like a temporal paradox that trapped the mind flayer in a time loop, which gave the party a chance to regroup and eventually achieve victory in a way that no one could have predicted.
Talk about turning a potential disaster into a truly memorable moment. It highlights the importance of improvisation in D&D for both players and DMs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes embracing the chaos leads to the best stories.
100%, yeah. D&D is this, collaborative storytelling experience. And, those stories can take unexpected turns that require us to just think on our feet, find creative solutions.
Totally. Okay, so we've had a paladin falling to a dragon, a rogue failing spectacularly at disarming a trap, and an entire party succumbing to a series of critical fails.
Right.
But are you ready to enter the realm of statistical improbability that's so mind-boggling, it'll make you question the fabric of reality?
Oh, hit me. Let's do it. This is one of my favorites.
Okay.
This involves a professional D&D player,
Okay.
a tournament championship,
Right.
and a sequence of rolls so unlikely that it defied even the calculations of seasoned statisticians.
You're talking about the legendary Marcus, the probability king Jackson,
I am.
and his infamous, oops, all one's roll at Gen Con 2018.
Precisely. Championship tournament, room full of people, and Marcus, known for his calculated approach to the game, is preparing to deliver what should have been a game-winning blow with his level 20 barbarian.
So he's got everything going for him.
Yeah.
Special abilities like Action Surge and Great Weapon Master, a magical weapon, even a spell called Bless to improve his chances. This attack required rolling a whopping 21 dice. And what happened? Let's just say it was the kind of moment that makes you wonder if the dice are cursed. Every single die came up as a 1.
21 dice. 21 ones. The odds of that happening are astronomical.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
I mean, some people even accuse Marcus of using weighted dice.
Yeah.
But independent testing proved they were perfectly balanced.
Wow.
It was pure, unadulterated, statistically improbable bad luck. The kind of luck that makes you want to just give up, take up knitting.
I love it, though. You know what I mean? There's also something oddly beautiful about it when you say this idea that even in a game with these defined rules, these probabilities, there's still room for these moments of utter chaos.
Yeah. It's like a reminder that no matter how much we plan, no matter how much we strategize, sometimes those dolls just have other ideas.
They do.
And those moments, as frustrating as it can be, often become like the stories that we tell and retell, solidifying our bond with our fellow players and reminding us why we love this game despite its inherent unpredictability. So we've covered some truly epic dice-related disasters. The fall of Thoren's Stonefist, the statistical nightmare of Lucky Lightfoot, the TPK that wasn't meant to be, and the mind-boggling, oops, all one's roll.
Yes.
But there's one more story we need to talk about, and this one might be the most heartbreaking of them all.
Oh, I know this one. This is the one about Sister Mary Catherine, right? And the basement miracle gone wrong. This one always gets me.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even the most devout characters, even those who can literally call upon divine intervention, are not immune to the cruel hand of fate as, dictated by the roll of a die.
Yeah, this story takes us back to 1996.
Okay.
Long before online forums, live streams, to a time when D&D was played in basements and living rooms.
Oh, I love it. Like pizza boxes, Mountain Dew, that unmistakable smell of dice rolling across a table.
Yeah.
It's a simpler time. When the game was, I think, less about optimization and more about that shared experience of storytelling and adventure.
100%. And in a basement in suburban Detroit, a group of friends are gathered for what is supposed to be the climactic session of their long-running campaign. They're facing off against the avatar of Bane, the god of tyranny.
Oh, wow.
And things are not looking good.
So the stakes are high, The tension is palpable, and our protagonist, Sister Mary Catherine, a level 20 cleric paid by Janet, is the party's last hope.
And, clerics are known for their divine magic, their ability to heal and protect.
Exactly. And with the party on the verge of defeat, Janet decides to go all in.
Okay.
She calls upon divine intervention,
Right.
a powerful ability that allows a cleric to appeal directly to their deity for aid. It's a high-risk, high-reward move.
Absolutely, yeah. Success could mean turning the tide of battle, but failure.
Well, you can probably guess what happened next.
Oh, Janet rolls the die. A hush falls over the room, and it lands on a 1. Sister Mary Catherine's prayer goes unanswered. The party is defeated, and the avatar of Bane reigns supreme.
It's brutal.
It's like a moment of crushing defeat made even more poignant by the context of the campaign.
Yeah.
The years of shared storytelling.
Right.
The emotional investment each player had poured into their characters.
It's a classic D&D heartbreak.
It really highlights that, bittersweet nature of D&D, right?
Yes.
It's a game where triumph and disaster are often separated by the roll of a die.
Yeah.
Where hope and despair can coexist within the same moment.
Absolutely. It's interesting, how these stories, these moments where the dice seem to have a mind of their own, how they've actually influenced the game itself.
Yeah, it's almost like D&D has evolved as a response to our collective, dice-related trauma.
Exactly, yeah. Game designers have learned from these shared experiences, and they've incorporated these mechanisms to kind of, mitigate the potential for extreme bad luck.
Like inspiration, advantage, the lucky feat. Tools that give players a little bit more control over those unpredictable dice.
Right. They don't completely eliminate the element of chance, but they give players ways to influence probability, to hedge their bets against a catastrophic roll.
So it's like these epic fails have actually made the game better in a way, more balanced.
Yeah.
They've forced designers to confront the role of pure randomness in a game that's also about storytelling and decision-making.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It raises the question, are these changes ultimately good for the game? Some people argue they take away from the thrill of the unknown. That part of D&D's magic lies in that unpredictability.
Yeah, I can see that. There's something to be said for embracing the chaos, accepting that sometimes the dice just do what they want. But I also think these mechanics add this layer of strategy that can be really engaging.
It's a balancing act, right? Preserving that element of chance while also giving players enough agency to feel like they have some control over their fate. And the evolution of D&D reflects that ongoing conversation.
Totally. And beyond game mechanics, it's fascinating how these stories of failure have become so woven into the social fabric of the D&D community.
It's that shared experience of suffering, right? We've all been there. We've all felt that sting of a critical fail at the worst possible time. And it's oddly comforting to know you're not alone in your dice-related misery.
It's like a badge of honor, A shared experience that unites us as players. We all have our war stories, our tales of dice-related disaster, and those stories become part of our gaming legacy just as much as our triumphs and victories.
Absolutely. They add to the richness of the experience. They remind us that D&D is more than just a game. It's this collaborative storytelling experience full of twists and turns and unexpected outcomes.
And speaking of unexpected outcomes, we talked about the wall of shame earlier, where players display their cursed dice. Well, some groups take it a step further. They create what they call catastrophe chronicles, detailed logs of their most spectacular blunders.
Oh, yeah. It's epic sagas of misfortune filled with tales of, critical failures leading to TPKs, botched stealth checks, healers fumbling their saving throws at the worst possible time.
It's turning those, gaming nightmares into entertainment.
And it's a healthy way to process those moments of frustration, too. Finding the humor, acknowledging that these things happen, that even the best players have their off days, and that sometimes the dice just have a, cruel sense of humor.
It's about turning negative experiences into something, constructive.
Yeah.
Something that can be shared and enjoyed by others. Because everyone loves a good train wreck story, especially when it involves dragons and dungeons and dice-related disaster.
And it's not just about documenting the failures themselves. It's about recognizing those creative ways that players and DMs adapt to these situations, turning potential disasters into something memorable, even entertaining.
Sarah's story, Lord Williams, and the 6 consecutive natural ones that became a time-traveling mind flayer.
Exactly.
The perfect example of turning a game-ending moment into something unexpected and exciting.
Yeah, it shows the power of improvisation, of thinking on your feet and adapting to the ever-changing flow of the game. Essential skill for any good DM.
Totally. And it's not just about reacting to bad luck either. Some players actually, embrace it. Incorporate it into their characters. We mentioned the Murphy's Law Paladin earlier, like a character who gains power from their failures.
Oh, yeah. It's a brilliant concept. Turning that idea of being, cursed by the dice into a unique mechanic. It's like saying, okay, universe, you want to throw bad luck my way? Fine, I'll use it to my advantage.
It's like turning the tables on fate itself. And it's not just limited to, individual characters either. Some players create entire campaigns that, revolve around bad luck, where the odds are stacked against them from the start.
Yeah, these cursed campaigns are all about embracing the chaos, leaning into the unexpected, and finding the fun in adversity. They often lead to these hilarious and memorable moments.
It's a whole new way of playing D&D, where failure isn't something to be feared, but something to be, embraced and even celebrated.
Yeah.
Recognizing that sometimes the best stories come not from those flawless victories, but from that, messy, unpredictable, and often hilarious journey.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that even when facing, seemingly impossible odds, there's always room for creativity, ingenuity, and that spark of, human resilience that allows us to laugh in the face of disaster and keep rolling those dice no matter what.
Totally. So we've covered the math, the mechanics, the cultural impact, and the, sheer entertainment value of these D&D failures. But there's another layer worth exploring. The psychology of it all.
Yeah.
Why are these moments so memorable? Why do we share them, retell them, even celebrate them?
It speaks to something fundamental about the human experience, doesn't it? We're drawn to stories of triumph over adversity, but we're also drawn to stories of, spectacular failure, especially when those failures are tinged with humor and a sense of the absurd.
It's like we relate to those moments of epic misfortune on this, visceral level. We've all been there, felt the sting of defeat. And there's something cathartic about seeing others experience it too, especially when it's done in a way that's entertaining and even inspiring.
It's about recognizing our shared humanity, I think, our shared vulnerability in the face of the unknown, and finding a way to laugh at ourselves, to acknowledge that sometimes, things just don't go our way, no matter how hard we try.
And the element of surprise plays a role too, right? These epic fails often come out of nowhere, disrupting our expectations and forcing us to reevaluate the situation.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a cognitive dissonance that happens when we witness something so statistically improbable, something that defies our understanding of how the world is supposed to work. And I think that dissonance makes those moments stick with us.
It's like our brains are trying to make sense of the chaos,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find a pattern in the randomness. And in the process, we create these lasting memories, these stories we share, because they challenge our understanding of the game, of ourselves, and maybe even of reality itself.
Yeah, it really does make you think about how our brains are just wired for storytelling. We find meaning and entertainment even in those moments where things go spectacularly wrong.
It's like we almost need those stories of failure, those reminders that we're not always in control. Maybe it helps us appreciate the victories even more.
Yeah, perhaps. And it's not just about, individual players either. Game designers have clearly learned from these epic fails, too. They've created mechanics that let players influence probability without eliminating, randomness altogether.
Right, luck points, which you can spend to re-roll a die, or success with the cost systems, where you can succeed, but there's some negative consequence, or even fate cards that introduce unexpected events.
Exactly. They add this layer of strategy and decision-making, giving players more agency without taking away that thrill of the unknown.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this world of dice-related disaster, I'm curious what stands out to you about these stories? What resonates the most?
I think it's the reminder that even in a game with these clearly defined rules and mechanics, there's still that element of unpredictability. And I think that reflects life in so many ways.
Absolutely. We can plan and strategize all we want, but sometimes those dice just have other ideas. And sometimes those ideas involve a whole lot of ones.
But it's not just about accepting defeat. It's about how we react to it, right? Do we get frustrated and give up? Or do we find a way to, adapt, to improvise, to turn that failure into something unexpected and memorable?
The best D&D stories often come from those moments where things go spectacularly wrong.
Right.
It's in those moments that we really see the true spirit of the game, the creativity, the collaboration, the ability to laugh in the face of disaster and keep rolling those dice.
Yeah, and I think that's a valuable lesson that honestly extends beyond the gaming table. Life is full of these, like, unexpected twists and turns. It's how we respond to those challenges that defines us.
So, does knowing that even the most skilled players experience these epic fails, does it make you more or less likely to try D&D?
I mean, for some, it might seem a little intimidating, right? But for me, it makes the game even more appealing. It's that element of risk, that knowledge that anything can happen. That's what keeps things exciting. It's a reminder that even in failure, there's the potential for amazing stories.
Absolutely. So we encourage all of you listening to embrace the chaos, to roll those dice, and to share your own stories of spectacular D&D failures.
Yeah.
Because misery loves company. And everyone loves a good dice disaster story.
And who knows? Maybe your story will become the next, legendary tale, the one that inspires new rules, new characters, and new ways of experiencing this incredible game.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world where probability goes to die. Until next time, may your dice roll ever in your favor, or at least may your failures be epic enough to become legendary.